As if teenagers weren't scary enough in real life, let's watch a couple of movies about them. This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. This is my closet full of all the stuff that I love. And today, two rather notorious films about teenagers. One film was basically banned the first day it was released. Another film has a very weird lead performance. Both are based on rather scary true stories. When I was teaching high school, one of my teacher colleagues became a pool teacher. What happened was they shut his program down, but since he was still under contract and being paid by the district, they made him a pool teacher, meaning they could call him in the morning and assign him to whatever school he was needed. It could be for one day, it could be for a week, could be for several months. But he told me he prayed every morning when that phone rang that would not be a middle school calling, because middle school kids and high school kids are a lot different. And if you think back to how you were in middle school and how you were in high school, I think you know what I'm talking about. So middle school is the setting for the first film, Over the Edge, I want to talk about. It's from 1979, and it was actually inspired by a true story in the San Francisco Examiner in 1973 about a group of kids who called themselves the Mouse Pack. And they were in Foster City, California, in Northern California. And this was a planned community, very suburban. But like a lot of these planned communities, they forgot to include anything for the young people. And half the population in this place was young people. So what happens? Well, idle hands being the devil's playground, they acted out in various unsavory ways. So when this film came out, it was pulled by the distributor and the theater owners practically the same week. And the only reason anybody knew about the film and how it became a cult film was through special one-night screenings in certain theaters. And then when home video became something big, people would rent the film and discover it that way. So in the film, it's a place called New Granada, and it's a group of teenagers, and they are becoming increasingly bored and feeling increasingly hassled. So they act out, culminating in sort of trapping all the parents in the middle school auditorium while the parents are there to discuss, what are we going to do about these kids? What's wrong with them? And they sort of imprison them in the auditorium at the end and start vandalizing things, and it goes on from there. One thing I look for when I watch some films about teenagers is, do the actors look age appropriate? Because usually they look way too old for a teenage or high school kids or even a middle school kids. There are some exceptions, like the series Pen 15 on Hulu. The kids look the right age. The show Freaks and Geeks, generally those kids look the right age. And this one, they do look the right age. They're pretty skinny and pretty gawky and kind of uncomfortable the way they move. This was Matt Dillon's first film. I also look at how are the parents and the adults portrayed. Well, the cops are portrayed pretty one-dimensionally. Basically, they're there to just harass the kids and provoke them for no reason whatsoever. The parents, kind of a mixed portrayal. Some of the parents are caring. The mother is caring. The dad, not so much. The adults mainly are concerned with the financial well-being of this community. The teachers don't come off too well. They basically yell at the kids. And one thing the parents do a lot of is drink liquor. And I think that's trying to make a comment on the kids. That's where they learned it. And that's why they're doing drugs. And by drugs, I mean the kids are smoking weed and they're taking acid and they're drinking all kinds of liquor, sometimes combining all three at the same time or two at the same time. It was a pretty influential film among certain groups, most notably among for Kurt Cobain of Nirvana fame, who said it really reflected his thinking at the time, and it's one of his top 3 favorite films. And he said it also influenced his pretty famous music video for Smells Like Teen Spirit. The director was Jonathan Kaplan, best known for the film The Accused, which got a Best Actor Oscar for Jodie Foster. The music is always important in these films too, and the filmmakers were smart in that they got input from the kids as to what music they should be using in the film. Cheap Trick is the main artist portrayed in this film. You also hear stuff from Van Halen and from the Ramones, but not White Punks on Dope by the Tubes, which might have been a little too obvious considering they're all white and they're all on dope. So this disc is from Arrow. Arrow is known for doing outstanding Blu-rays. There's quite a few extras on here. There's a really nice booklet. It's about 50 pages long. It looks like a composition book from one of the characters in the film. And it also includes the original article from the San Francisco Examiner that the film was based on, along with some good analyses of the film. Some of the other extras include a fairly long, it's about an hour, documentary about the film from the filmmakers and some of the cast. And then there's also from 2010, there's a Q&A session after they screened it at a theater in New York. The audio on that's pretty bad, so I couldn't really hang for the whole thing, but it's there. And there's a few extra things also, like trailers and things like that. Well, for all their faults, the kids in Over the Edge at least have some kind of energy, some kind of spark to them, and some sort of yearning and ambition to improve their lives. You can't say the same thing for the kids in this other film, River's Edge. This is from 1986, so it's made 7 years after Over the Edge. And these are high school kids, and they're somewhat nihilistic and sort of divorced from their feelings and sort of emotionally dead, at least most of them are. And in a way that's kind of scary and more disturbing than the kids in the other film who are acting out. So this is about a group of friends, and one friend in particular who's very disturbed, and he's played very well by Daniel Roebuck. He kills one of their female friends because she made fun of his mom, and he leaves her in the woods naked and just goes on his merry way, and he's really kind of out of it. And then he casually mentions to his other friends that he killed this girl. They don't react in a normal way. They just want him to prove it. So he takes them up there, and they don't react in a normal way when they see the dead girl either. They just are kind of a little bit surprised, but they don't call the authorities. They don't call the kid on it. Nothing. So it's really kind of odd. And by the way, it's based on a true story too, just like Over the Edge was. Now one friend tries to protect the guy who killed the girl, and he's played by Crispin Glover, who is most well known for playing George McFly in Back to the Future. And he's a very unique style of acting, and everything is over the top, such as, I'm telling you guys, we have to do something. We have to think about what we're going to do, okay? And that's basically his performance throughout the entire film. So it's kind of weird and kind of funny and kind of both, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to laugh at it or be disturbed by it or what's going on, but I tell you one thing, it is very entertaining. This is also one of Keanu Reeves' very first films. He's a protagonist. His love interest is Ione Skye, who was also in Say Anything as a love interest, and whose father, you may not know, was Donovan, the famous singer-songwriter from the 60s. Sunshine Superman and Season of the Witch and Hurdy-Gurdy Man, songs like that. Another interesting character in here is played by Dennis Hopper, who was just coming off of Blue Velvet, one of my favorite films, and his career was revitalized, and he was playing a lot of very odd, offbeat characters, and that's definitely the case here, where he has a fake leg and he dances around with a blow-up doll, and in a way he's actually the most human of all the characters compared to the kids, and the kids just know him because they go to his house he gives them weed, and that's the only way they associate with him, and he never leaves his house because he's a little bit paranoid. I think they look pretty age appropriate. Some of them might look a little too old to be high school kids, but generally I wasn't that bothered by that. The parents and adults are basically non-existent. The cops, again, very one-dimensional, hassling the kids, And there's Keanu Reeves' mother is really the only parent. She seems to care, but her boyfriend is kind of a real jerk to the kids. The director, interesting enough, Tim Hunter, co-wrote the other film, Over the Edge, and he's best known for very good TV shows like Bosch, Breaking Bad, and one of my favorites, Mad Men. And one thing that I didn't like is the camera lingers a little bit too much and too many times on this dead girl's body. And and as I said, she's naked out there in the woods. And as the film progresses, you can see her body not decomposing, but getting more and more discolored. And it's just that's kind of disturbing. I don't know why they linger so much on her body. The disc doesn't have much. It has a commentary by the director. It has a trailer, but the good news is it's showing right now on Amazon Prime if you are a subscriber. So there you have it. 2 rather notorious films about teenage kids on the edge, both based on true stories. Check them out. Hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave a comment or a suggestion right down there. Feel free to leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.